For me, I've always felt like I was doing what I could to make a difference in the industry.
Like a blazing flame, Deanna Burgart loves letting loose on the karaoke stage. This song may be mellow, but the singer is anything but.
She is definitely high energy. I am an introvert, and she is most definitely not. So you hit the ground running when you spend time with Deanna.
Yeah. And there's my husband, John.
This is an engineer with energy, passion, and maybe a quirk or two.
He said, "Oh, hello, princess." And then after they took the photo, he's like, "May the force be with you."
Burgart's work is all serious, though, creating bridges of greater understanding between Indigenous First Nations communities and the oil and gas industry.
To bring together both knowledge from the nations as well as regulations and compliance that's based on engineering and science to find those common goals, protecting the public, of reducing impact on the environment, of doing things better. The more perspectives we can bring to the table, the more solutions we'll be able to find that we may never have tried or thought of before.
Energy is big business in Burgart's home city, the top employer in the Canadian province of Alberta.
Wildlife.
In 2016, she left a full-time energy job to launch her own Indigeneering consultancy.
Trying to understand the Indigenous portion, because it's a huge piece here in Alberta, or if you're taken anywhere in the world. If you want to do a project within someone's land, you have to understand what goes behind. And now I think the industry is trying to really focus on that. Now they've identified, hey, we're missing out in a huge and important piece of group of people that we haven't ever cared about.
What's being measured.
Burgart's path was as circuitous as an oil well site schematic. As a teenager, she had a son and dropped out of high school. Eventually, she enrolled at Southern Alberta Institute of Technology to study chemical engineering, which meant a decent job.
Especially being a single mom, and at the time when I first went back to school, I was working 3 minimum wage part-time jobs, and I knew that juggling all of that and trying to raise my son was not going to be sustainable, so it really opened doors for me.
Pursuing an energy career also let Burgart follow in her father's footsteps. Some 20 years after studies at the Institute, she now works with it to teach Indigenous people about pipelines.
She's the first Indigenous woman engineer I've ever met, and she's just a hoot. And she loves her kids, so we have that in common.
In between nerd jokes and references to Bernoulli's equation, Burgart regularly shares her story with Indigenous students and also has increasing speaking roles at such industry gatherings as the International Pipeline Conference.
Like I spent almost 20 years working in oil and gas as an engineer, trying to fit what I thought an engineer should be, and I realized that when I'm totally myself, that's when I bring my best self to any of the work that I do.
She's the one I can turn to.
Your cheerleader.
Yeah, yes, she's a real motivator.
Business, we have to support each other. We're all in it together.
Part of Deanna Burgart's story is about being adopted and later reconnecting with her Indigenous birth mother and her culture.
I didn't know my birth mother was Cree Dene because she was told not to put that on my adoption papers. And so my adoption paper said birth father Irish, birth mother unknown.
I grew up on the land. I didn't know about town. I didn't have sugar until I was 4 years old.
Now living in Vancouver as an Episcopal minister, Vivian Seegers visits regularly with Burgart. They have lively debates because, you see, Seegers is a water protector who protests oil and gas expansion.
I don't want to demonize science and technology. I think it's wonderful. We have beautiful minds, and we can do so much with our beautiful minds.
Seegers is pleased with Burgart's success. They dance delicately, though, around any differences between them.
When I'm speaking with someone that is opposed, it's not about changing their mind. It's about understanding them. I want to understand the opposition. I want to understand why they feel the way they feel. I, too, am passionate about protecting the environment, and it's why I volunteer with the Energy Futures Lab. It's why I'm a fellow with a lab that's dedicated to looking at what our energy transition looks like over the next 30 to 50 years. We all want the same thing for our children and our grandchildren and future generations. And if we can transcend those polarized conversations, we can find solutions together.